Am I on? Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'll have a roll call by our city clerk.
The record will reflect that all members are present.
We're going to do a Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. We'd like to welcome Vicki Ramey, president of Brother Benno's Auxiliary, and she's going to do our pledge and our invocation. So do the pledge and then remain standing for the invocation, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty God, we ask for your blessing for today's meeting as city officials, concerned citizens, and others gather to work together, even if there's difference in opinions, to resolve important issues that are valuable to the city of Vista and its people. Give us the strength to have confidence in what is good and fitting for the needs of our citizens, young and old, children, seniors, and the like. May we continue to strive for the betterment of this community. May we recognize the employees in the private and public sectors, as tomorrow is Administrative Professionals Day, for their efforts in the workplace and for their continued support for business success. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. May we help in comforting the victims, give them support, and a sense of hope as they rebuild their lives. We are grateful to be living in the city of Vista, and as the city will celebrate its 50th year of cityhood in 2013, let us take the necessary steps in making Vista a safe and viable place that will benefit its citizens living and working here, as well as our visitors, and be recognized as one of California's finest cities. And may God bless America. Amen.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Very good. Okay, I have to read the Brown Act Notice of Simultaneous Meeting Compensation. In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, the members of the Buena Sanitation District will receive compensation of $147.75 for the district meeting pursuant to the Buena Sanitation District Ordinance 2006-1. So the next thing I'll do is the approval of the agenda with Patrick Johnson, our city attorney. Our city manager.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Mayor, item P3 should have included the introduction of the incoming Pride Court, so I'd like to add that to the agenda at this time.
Okay. We had a closed session. City Attorney Stone, Jonathan Stone.
Thank you, Mayor. There were two items considered in closed session, conference with labor negotiators and conference with legal counsel concerning anticipated litigation. At this point in time, there is no action to report.
Okay, thank you. And the next thing we'll do on our agenda are presentations, and we have a few tonight. And we have the first one we have is a proclamation to Barbara Menino and Ron and Joan Moss. And so I'll call them up and I'll come down and read this. I'll take both of these with me. Right over here. Okay, we can do that. Okay, and I'm going to give this to you.
You're going to read all of that?
I'm going to read all of this because it's important. It's very important. These guys are very important. Okay, I'm going to get my glasses here. Whereas the Vista Community Clinic is celebrating their 40th anniversary and the grand opening of the new 30,000 square foot Joan and Ron Moss Women's Health Center on March 24th, they celebrated that. Whereas Ron and Joan Moss have been among the clinic's most prolific donors, Ron, a retired engineer and former Qualcomm executive, has contributed to the clinic and or served on its board of trustees for the past 20 years. Whereas Barbara Menino, the chief executive officer, has served the Vista Community Clinic since 1983. The Vista Community Clinic was originally located in a donated space inside a former animal shelter in Vista. Under Barbara's leadership, the Vista Community Clinic has grown to include 5 community-based clinic sites in the cities of Vista and Oceanside with an annual operating budget of more than $30 million. Last year, the community clinic served over 57,000 patients, providing a safety net health care services to 1 in 4 residents in Vista. Whereas the Vista Community Clinic fulfills a leadership role in North County by providing essential medical services and health education for those in need, and whereas a high percentage of the poor and underprivileged Vista families rely on the clinic as their only source of health care. Whereas the Vista City Council offers their sincere appreciation to all involved during the Vista Community Clinic's 40 years of service to Vista and commends them on their accomplishments and success with the new Women's Health Center on Vail Terrace. Now, therefore, the mayor and members of the Vista City Council present this proclamation to Barbara Menino and to Joe and Ron Moss, because they and were hereby proclaim Saturday, March 24th, which was passed when the clinic opened, as Joan and Ron Moss Women's Health Center Day in the city of Vista. So congratulations to both of you and Barbara on your. Thank you. This is for you. Would you like to say something?
Would I?
Would either of you like to say something?
Well, don't let him talk. And I don't care for to say anything.
Now that she said nothing.
Okay, here's your proclamation for you.
Thank you. Whoops.
Got it? And then here's the big print.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Barbara. Okay. Or did you want a photo? Well, you guys,
Photo op.
we'll do it over here. Joan? Yeah. Joan, you're on. Let's get back here. We'll get here. Photo. Is this hiding? Is it hiding back here? This is my best side. Okay. Our next proclamation is for Susan Hall. Is Susan here? There you are. Okay. This is a proclamation for Susan Hall, who is Angels Depot founder and executive director. Susan was recently named 2012 Woman of the Year for her work as founder and executive director of the Angels Depot. Whereas the Angels Depot is celebrating 71 months of operation, the depot's 6 staff members and over 2,800 volunteers are proud to have provided 37,268 senior emergency meal boxes containing 782,628 senior meals, using 819,896 pounds of food to seniors living in poverty in San Diego County. The Angels Depot mission is to provide food for the elderly poor living in San Diego County and to help improve the quality of their lives. Further, the mission is to promote community awareness and support for impoverished seniors and to act as a conduit to other available senior resources. Whereas seniors in need are men and women of the generations who fought wars, paid taxes, and built this country, they are proud generations who find it difficult to ask for help and yet struggle to maintain their dignity and their independence. Whereas the Angels Depot strategy to solve senior hunger included development of the senior emergency meal boxes, senior advocacy, and community education and outreach. The implementation of this program included recruiting a corps of over 2,800 volunteers and providing volunteer jobs for them, growing a group of funders to over 500, initiating numerous fundraising events each year, and starting an SOS campaign that empowers the community to sponsor a senior emergency meal box for the hard cost of $25. Whereas for Ms. Hall's successes in advocating for and serving impoverished seniors, as well as recruiting strong volunteer effort, she has received the 2012 Women of the Year Award for the State Assembly District 74 from Assemblyman Mark Garrick, Channel 10 News Leadership Award, the San Diego Business Journal's Women's Who Mean Business and Healthcare Champions Awards, and was one of 5 national finalists in the 2011 AARP Hunger Hero Award contest. Whereas the Vista City Council offers their sincere appreciation to Susan Hall, founder and executive director of Angels Depot, and the volunteers involved with the success of Angels Depot's service to seniors and the community, and commends the Angels Depot on their accomplishments. Therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council present this proclamation to Susan Hall and congratulate her service to seniors of the community of Vista, and hereby proclaim Wednesday, April 25th, that's tomorrow, as the Angels Depot Day in the city of Vista. So congratulations, Susan. That would be my day. I know, I saw you did. Okay, here's this for you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Well, it's an honor to come back to Vista, where I grew up and graduated from high school, and who knew that all these years later we'd be feeding seniors. It's great to see a lot of the same people that I did grow up with, and I have to say that it's kind of nice to be home.
Okay, and our next proclamation is to outgoing, I have 3 proclamations here. 1, 2, 3. I'll do these first, okay? Okay. We're going to do these are the outgoing names of the queens of the titles. These are the outgoing queens of the Destiny Landeros. If you'll come up, Miss Pride of Vista 2011, is she here? There she is. Come on up. I'm going to read this for her. All the whereases. Are you ready? Okay. Whereas Destiny, is it Landeros? Am I saying that right? Landeros was crowned Little Miss Pride of Vista on March 19, 2011. A great honor was bestowed on her, recognizing her character, confidence, dedication, and service to the City of Vista. Whereas Destiny has volunteered in community service projects during her year as Little Miss Pride of Vista, including the preparation of dictionaries needed for the Pride of Vista Lions Club annual dictionary distribution to 3rd grade students. Destiny has volunteered at various civic and charity events, including the Vista Easter Egg Hunt, the Vista Strawberry Festival, the Lions Club Beach Cleanup at the Pier, the Canned Food Drive for the Angels Depot, and the American Legion Annual Dinner honoring their national commander. Whereas Destiny has volunteered and helped raise funds to further the following nonprofit organizations: the Pride of Vista Lions Club and the Angels Depot. Destiny has represented the community and the Pride of Vista Lions Club by participating in the Vista Christmas Parade and the Oceanside Freedom Days Parade. Whereas during Destiny's year as Little Miss Pride of Vista, Destiny learned a great deal about the meaning of community service, made lasting friendships, and learned about the many organizations in the City of Vista as well as San Diego County. Whereas the Vista City Council thanks Destiny for her hard work as a Little Miss Pride of Vista and for her dedication to making the community a better place, and wishes her the best of luck in her future endeavors. Now, therefore, the mayor and members of our Vista City Council do hereby proclaim Thursday, April 26th, that's tomorrow, as Destiny Landeros Day in the City of Vista. Congratulations to you. And now we'll go, and the next one is Jordan, is it Kogler? Come on, Jordan. Okay, now I'm going to read your proclamation here. And these girls, I see them all, we do ribbon cuttings and things, and all the events, we see these girls all over. They work very hard during their year, that they're in their, I don't say in office, what do you say, in your reign. That's right, okay, in your reign. Okay, whereas Jordan Kogler was crowned Miss Teen Pride of Vista on March 19, 2011, a great honor was bestowed on her, recognizing her character, confidence, dedication, and service to the City of Vista. Jordan has volunteered in community service projects during her year as Miss Teen Pride of Vista, including the Pride of Vista Lions Club, the annual dictionary distribution to 3rd graders, and the annual rummage sale to raise money for the Pride of Vista Lions Club annual scholarship pageant. And Jordan has volunteered at various civic charity events, including the Easter Egg Hunt, the Vista Easter Egg Hunt, the MS Walk, the Vista Strawberry Festival, the Rod Run, the Scottish Highland Games, helping at the Veteran of Foreign Wars events, and the Vista Downtown Tree Lighting Ceremony. Whereas Jordan has volunteered and helped raise funds to further the following nonprofit organizations: the Pride of Vista Lions, Serve, S-E-R-V-E, Serve San Diego, Vista Boys and Girls Club Princess Camp, and the Carlsbad Lions Club. And Jordan has represented the Vista Chamber of Commerce at Sundowners, ribbon cuttings, and Chamber Golf Tournament. Jordan has represented the community and the Pride of Vista Lions Club by participating in the Vista Christmas Parade, Oceanside Freedom Days Parade, Encinitas Christmas Parade, Poway Parade, and the Mother Goose Parade. And in Jordan's year as Miss Teen Pride of Vista, she learned the history of Vista, making lasting friendships, and learned about the many organizations in the city of Vista as well as San Diego County. Whereas the City of Vista City Council thanks Jordan for her hard work serving as Miss Teen Pride of Vista and for her dedication to making the community a better place, and wishes her the best of luck in her future endeavors. Now, therefore, the mayor and members of the Vista City Council do hereby proclaim Friday, April 27th, as Jordan Kogler Day in the City of Vista. Congratulations. Yay. Very good. Congratulations. Oh, one more? Oh, wait. Got it? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, well, one more proclamation here. This one is for Catherine Wyatt. Where's Cat? Oh, she's not here? Okay, then we won't read hers, but will you take it to her? Can I give it to you? Okay. And her day is Saturday, Catherine. Okay, so then we have the Outgoing Princesses, which are all here. And we're going to call them all up. They all look so pretty with their little crowns on. Are you all sad? Oh, you're the incoming princesses. You're the sad ones. The outgoing ones. Got the wrong sad ones. Okay, the incoming one are very happy. So I'm going to call you up. We have, do we have Little Miss Pride of Vista 2012 Grace Summerhill? Is she here? No, she's not here. How about Little Miss Pride of Vista First Princess Dylan Johnson? Is it Dylan? Dylan? How about Little Miss Pride of Vista Second Princess? Is it Bijou Fig? No? We'll just keep trying. Well, we'll announce them anyway. We're announcing them anyway. Junior Miss Pride of Vista 2012 Audrey Kogler? Oh, come up here. I'll call all the princesses up. Junior Miss Pride of Vista First Princess Kylie Pato? Is Kylie here? No. Junior Miss Pride of Vista Second Princess, is it Mikia Farner? Makaya? Makaya, okay, she's not here. Okay, now, and then Brianna Molina, Miss Teen Pride of Vista 2012. Yay, okay. We'll call you all up and then we'll get a picture and then we can all, and they can appreciate you. Carissa Hernandez, Miss Teen Pride of Vista Princess 2012. Michaela Lenardi, Miss Teen Pride of Vista Princess 2012. Princess Ortiz, Miss Pride of Vista 2012. Alma, is it Jacinto? Miss Pride of Vista Princess 2012. Alma. And Melissa Sabatini, Miss Pride of Vista Princess 2012. There they all are. So give them all a hand, all of our princesses. Tom Gonke is going to do the next proclamation.
Yeah. Could I have Dan Martin from the Sandag come up? We have a proclamation for Mr. Martin to receive for the Sandag Association. If you're not familiar with Sandag, is the kind of the leader in, I guess it'd be planning for most of San Diego County. We have members from our council that sit on it, as members from Enemy Council and the county sit on it, making decisions on how to plan out the San Diego County. So it says here, whereas the month of May is National Bike Month, and Friday, May 18th of 2012 is National Bike to Work Day. And whereas National Bike Month 2012 promotes bicycle commuting, safety, and driver awareness of bicycle riders. And whereas Sandag is sponsoring National Bike Month and Bike to Work Day to recognize biking to work and to promote employer and commuter participation this month and throughout the year. And whereas biking is proven emission-free transportation alternative that reduces traffic congestion, improves mobility, and provides for an alternative to driving alone. And whereas Sandag area employers can improve mobility and reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the region and around their work sites by offering incentives to employees to encourage biking to work and other alternatives to solo commute. And whereas San Diego area commuters can reduce their weekly solo commute trips and demands placed on the region's roadways by 20% by choosing to commute alternatives like biking to work for just once a week. Now, therefore, the mayor and the members of the Vista City Council encourage employers to offer incentives to employees to use alternatives to driving alone, such as biking to work, for this day and throughout the year, and do hereby proclaim May 12th, 18th, thank you, of 2012, National Bike Month, and Friday the 18th is National Bike to Work Day in the city of Vista.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Fantastic. I just want to thank the city for their leadership in proclaiming Bike to Work Day, May 18th. And it's Bike to Work Day is more than that. This year, it's Bike to Work Month, and we are hosting a corporate challenge. And I'd like to actually recognize a few companies from the city of Vista that are participating, including DJO Global, who is in the corporate challenge, Watkins Manufacturing Corporation, who also has a pit stop and is participating in the corporate challenge, and then your very own Electra Bikes is helping and partnering with Sandag to make this success. So I want to thank you all once again, and remember to bike to work. Thanks.
The next thing on our agenda is our consent calendar. The recommendations on the following consent calendar, which are C1 through C12, will be enacted in one motion unless an item is removed from the calendar. Any member of the public can remove an item by submitting a request to speak card to the clerk, our city clerk or secretary. The items removed from the consent calendar will be considered immediately following the adoption of the calendar. So does my council have any items they wish pulled? And I don't see anything that's any, is there? She said our names have all disappeared, so if we vote, it won't show who's voting. They were there a minute ago, and they just disappeared. Oh, it's all technology. Well, we can do a hand vote. Okay, we can do a hand vote. So I need a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion for the consent calendar.
Okay. Okay, so everyone in favor of the consent calendar, vote. Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, so that's consent. So then we move on to our next item, which is it's a discussion item, and it's an amendment to the city's local bidder preference. So Allie Zimmerman, our assistant city manager, I have to get the right title, is going to present that.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Allie Zimmerman, Assistant City Manager, and the item before you is a proposal to modify the city's local bidder preference policy. This is something that we've been working on for the past couple of months, looking at ways that we can identify additional economic development incentives and strategies as a complement to the City Council's high priority to provide economic development incentives in the community. The changes that are being proposed at this time are to two sections of the city's purchasing code, one section that talks about the bidder preference itself, and the second, the definition of the local business entity. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the background on this. We have a local bidder preference policy right now. It was enacted in 1996, and it's a 1% straight across policy. Basically means that when bids are opened, if a Vista business is within 1% of the low bid, their bid is moved to the top of the pile to be reviewed and evaluated. If it's deemed responsive, the city will pay the higher bid price up to that 1%. We just don't use it very often, and that, I'm sure, has a number of factors. Since December of 2009, it's been used once. And so it's not something that is used very often, but it is on the books, and we do apply it whenever it would be available. Whenever a Vista company bids, we do evaluate it using that circumstance. So we're looking at local bidder preferences across the state. There are just over 100 that I identified in other California cities and counties. Most of them are very similar to the city of Vista's. The majority are 1% policies. There's a handful that are 2 or 3% or even 5%, and then almost, I think it's 7 I found that have a 10% policy. So there's a variety out there, but 1% is the most common number. In San Diego County, 6 cities have a local bidder preference policy. They're all 1% except for, I believe it's National City has a 2% policy. So one of the things about the local bidder preference policy is it's really difficult to quantify the tangible benefits of having one. Your proponents will tell you that by awarding a bid to a local company that the dollars will stay reinvested in the community, but there's no way to verify that that's happening. It's a good policy, it's a good thing to have, but it's not something where we can really specifically say the money's coming, will stay in Vista. If we pay more, the money will stay here in our community and be reinvested. Did a lot of research, looked around, found one paper done at Cal State Fresno by a couple of professors there when the city of Fresno was considering evaluating implementing a 5% policy, and the bottom line of their research concluded that from a purely fiscal impact, the purely fiscal impact to the city is negative of having a local bidder preference policy, because in the end you pay more, and that's the way it looks. So we're looking at trying to find a way to increase the opportunities for our local businesses, but not increase what the city's paying, and so that's how we came up with the policy which we are proposing, which is an alternative policy. It's used in a couple of jurisdictions in the state, and what it would do is allow a local company whose bid is within 5% of the low bid to match the low bid and bring their proposal cost down to the lowest bid amount. So they would, we would identify and open the bids as we normally do. We would identify that the Vista bidder was within 5%. The city would make a request, and the company would have 3 days to respond in writing that yes, they'd be willing to meet the lowest bid, and then again we would do the evaluation as we normally do, with the Vista bidder being the highest at the top of the list for evaluations. So this policy is in place in similar form either at 5 or 10% in Contra Costa County and in the cities of Lancaster and Santa Clarita. And so that's what staff is recommending at this time, is to modify our policy to go to 5%, but in the matching way as opposed to just paying the increased cost. We are also recommending tightening the definition of local business entity, and this is to help us prevent manipulating the system by companies in order to gain the competitive advantage. In addition to being located in Vista, we would also recommend that companies have had a Vista business license for at least 6 months, and that either two full-time or 4 part-time employees be Vista residents. If it's a company that doesn't have any employees, then we would recommend that 50% of the ownership be Vista residents. And this is one of the only ways that you can kind of help to ensure that those dollars that you're awarding in Vista are reinvested in the community, because you're typically shopping and dining where you live. The Chamber of Commerce has also been advocating for the Vista to increase the policy, our local bidder preference policy, and they would like the city to consider increasing from 1% to 5%, just a flat increase. Under this scenario, as I said, the Vista bidder whose bid is within 5% would be considered the lowest bidder, and the city would pay a higher cost up to 5%. It's not something that staff is recommending at this time. It's purely economic. If that was triggered, we would pay more for our projects and our procurements. The Chamber does believe that their proposal would result in other financial benefits to the city, and they've commissioned a study from Cal State San Marcos's Senior Experience Program to identify the benefits of increasing the policy to 5%, and they have requested the city not make any changes until their study is completed. But because we've been working on this for quite a while and we'd like to go ahead and implement it at this time, staff is recommending moving forward with the ordinance as proposed. We can't wait to see what the study shows us, and if there are any findings that warrant changes to our policy, we'd be happy to bring them back to the City Council. And if approved, we will spend the next month while the ordinance is, before the ordinance goes into place, outreaching to our local businesses, making sure staff understands the difference, and make sure we include information with future bids and RFPs about the changes to the policy. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
We have 2 speakers. Do you want to hear the speakers first? Okay, Chuck Rabel.
Good evening, council, neighbors. I'm Chuck Rabel, a longtime Vista resident. 6 years ago, when I was the chair of the chamber, Jim Bauman and I came up with this concept. It's taken 6 years to get to where you are today. Now, my biggest comment is, what we're talking about are Vista businesses, not necessarily people in the city. Okay, not too long ago, a couple years ago, Dean Sutton and Sutton Tree Trimming had the contract here with the city, and that contract went to an outfit out of Orange County. At minimum, you need to expand the area to include the Buena Sanitation and the fire district, at minimum. Because they are Vista businesses. They do employ Vista citizens. And you know, this thing about a 6-month requirement for a business license and 2 full-time employees or 4 part-time, or owners be residents of Vista, I'm not sure that's even manageable with the staff that you have here in this building. With that, I've said my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rabel. Brett Schatzenbach.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Brett Schanzenbach. I'm the CEO at the Vista Chamber of Commerce. And I, like Chuck Rabel, do remember the discussions that were held at the Chamber board meetings years ago when the consideration was brought to us about the city switching to a charter city. And one of the things that was discussed with us was the idea that the local bidder preference could be expanded, altered, or whatnot if we became a charter city. And so we're excited that here we are this many years later and we're having that discussion. So that's a good thing that we're having the discussion. As Ali said, we have been discussing this with staff through our Government Affairs Committee for several months, and our Government Affairs Committee did make a recommendation to the board for a flat 5% local bidder preference rate. However, the board has not taken an official position yet because, as Ali also said, they are waiting. They want to see the results of the study from the Cal State San Marcos Senior Experience Team that was commissioned to do research, to find what is out there, to find best practices for all the nuances of the policy. And so the board has asked me to represent to you. So it's been 6 years already since we first started this discussion. Would a couple more months really kill us if we waited to hear the results of that study? So the Chamber is asking to hold off until that comes through and we can put our best foot forward in looking at all these different aspects. As Mr. Rabel brought up, there's a lot of, and Ali as well, there's a lot of different things. How do you define a local business? What are your boundaries? What qualifies you? And it can get a little bit challenging. So our recommendation isn't against or in favor of what you have proposed, what staff has proposed right now. More, we'd request that you wait and just see what more data comes from this study. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are you thinking that 5% is not enough?
No, I'm not thinking a certain percentage at all. I'm just thinking of if the approach of matching the lowest bid is the best thing, and maybe it is. If it's not, also how we're defining local business, what our boundaries are, all those nuances that come into this policy, you know, that's what we've encourage this team to go look at and bring back so that we can put the best foot forward.
Thank you.
Okay,
Is
Councilmember
he the
Lopez.
last one?
Pardon?
Is he the last speaker?
Yes, he's the last speaker.
Okay, so it's open for discussion?
Yes. Are our buttons not working?
No, they're not.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with Councilmember Lopez, anybody, and then Councilmember Gronke, or Mayor Pro Tem Gronke, and then Councilmember Coles. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Did you go first?
Just go down.
Okay, just go down the line. Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for the effort that you have put into this, because it's been a long time coming, as far as I'm concerned. I remember when I first started on council, one of the things I really pushed hard for at the time was Shop Vista, the Shop Vista program. The city of Vista has come up with many different ways of shopping Vista. I want the public to know that when you shop in Vista, especially with the gas right now, as high as it is, you have the government loving it because of the taxes that they make on gas per gallon. That trickles down here too. So if you're on your way to San Diego, you got a half a tank or so, go to San Diego, come back, buy gas in Vista, because that dollar stays here. Now, that study that was made from whatever city or university or whatever you said that they don't make any money, you mentioned that when you spoke, correct?
Correct. It was from Cal State University at Fresno. It was done by 2 professors looking at, from a purely fiscal impact, whether or not there is a benefit to the local government of providing an increased local bidder preference.
Well, let me tell you that they don't know what they're talking about. I do. When we built this building, and this is not making fun of anybody, the city or anybody, okay? There was a local business, and when it was built all at the same price, okay? We had a local business person that had 65 employees build this building that actually lived in the city of Vista. He had 360-some employees. 65 of them lived in the city of Vista. Many of them owned homes here in Vista. 65 checks per week, per month to the city of Vista. How much money is that? That's a bundle of money. But instead, it went to an outside firm. The outside firm had, guess how many employees? One employee. So that money left this town. But if we would have picked the local business developer, it would have had 65 employees who would have had money in their pocket, would have been able to buy gas, food, paid their rent, paid their mortgage in this town. So I'm glad that the city of Vista, our staff, management, has worked on this increase, because that's the purpose of a charter city. As a general law city, you always have to take the lowest bid. As a charter city, that was the purpose of this, which I have been working on for years, and finally they did it. And I'm so glad that it was done, because you have to really study charter cities and general law cities, the benefits they have, and I have. And let me tell you, that was the best thing that Vista did, becoming a charter city, because then we can give that local business the business, and that dollar stays here. And I don't care what kind of study goes on, that when you give a local person the business, he spends his money in this town. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Gronke.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank staff for if I remember right, about a month ago we had a goal-setting session, and one of the major things that we talked about was incentives to try to improve businesses within Vista and business in general. This is certainly a step in the right direction to meet that goal. I wish is Mr. Ham here tonight too?
He's in the back.
Thank you, Mr. Ham, for all this work. If we were to approve, this is a question. If we were to approve this tonight, could we alter in the future? This is not set in stone.
Absolutely. You can alter it at any time. It's would just be another change to the municipal code. We'd bring an ordinance back to council with any recommended changes from staff or that the council directed us to bring.
So we could prove it tonight, and then if the study came back with some kind of conclusion that might alter what we decided tonight, would be in our best interest to change it then.
Definitely, and staff would be evaluating the implementation of the new ordinance as well, and if we find anything that needs to be modified, we would want to bring that to you as well so that it's implemented smoothly and we're not seeing any issues where there's just confusion at all. So we don't just going to implement it and move forward. We're going to keep our eye on it and make sure that it's going well.
No, I really think it's a great idea, and I think it's time to do it. So I have no hesitation in approving this.
Councilmember Coles.
Thank you. I also compliment staff for working with our business community and coming up with this recommendation. And I think it does a couple of things. One, if we just give 5% more to a local business, it almost becomes a gift to public funds. And I think this eliminates that notion that we're just gifting public money in a fashion like that. But it does give local businesses an opportunity for a second bite at the apple. They can look at, people come together with bids, they do their best pencil sharpening, they come up with their best price, and our local businesses then have the opportunity to match that. And that's a real benefit. Outsiders may not like that, but that's, if we have the ability to do that, so be it. I think you're right. It's tough to come up with definitions of what a local business is. I think you've come up with some pretty good guidelines. These are guidelines that protect against carpetbagging. That's one of the things that we want to make sure that we're giving this benefit to businesses that have established their history here and their relationship with the city of Vista. So I think you've captured most of the things that need to be done to create a playing field for our local businesses, and I support this. So thank you.
Councilmember Aguilera.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's a great program. It's at least a great start. As you said, we'll be able to modify it if necessary. And I think you're going to find that this will be profitable to the city, because this is a little bit different from my understanding from what we had before, where we had to go up in price to match. And in this case, the contractor would actually be coming down in price or have the opportunity to come down in price. So I think it's a win-win situation. And I think that the idea of having some of the owners, or at least the employees here in the city, makes a lot of sense too. And I think I have to disagree with some of the speakers as far as I think we need to keep the people in the city. I don't think it helps us if they're outside in the county or in the Buena area, because we also want to collect the taxes that are generated by that company as well. And we want to encourage businesses to be in the city providing tax revenue here. So I'm in support.
Okay, and I'm in support also. Thank you for all your research, Allie. And for Kevin, I don't know if Kevin and Ham helped on it, but I appreciate all the research you did to get this. And it's nice to know that we can tweak it if we need to in the future when we look at that report that comes back from Cal State San Marcos. So I'm in support of that also. So I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this provision.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, and they said we can vote now, so let's try it. Let's see if it works. Yay, it worked. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you. We have, moving on, we have our oral communications. And the first one is Renee Glotzbach.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. This is not about whether Vista St. Patrick's Day was successful or the free samples that were great. This is about show and tell, giving successful, healthy lives to the Boys and Girls Club youthful members who live in their Vista Village to learn about their leaders marketing alcohol at their St. Patrick's Day. Many other events need to be without marketing alcohol, and it needs to be family-friendly, please, without alcohol, with such events as the Rod Run, Earth Day, Rancho Vista Adobe, and Bringo Terrace Park, and Strawberry Festivals, and any other family-friendly events that occur in the future at their Vista Village exciting. Ralph and Emma Bringo donated funds to the 13,000 square foot gymnasium of the Vista Boys and Girls Club. Mr. Kamars was kind to lead on to the Ralph T. Bringo 13,000 square foot today. Show me the gymnasium where the Boys and Girls Club members keep healthy, fit, and ready to learn. Here, Mr. Bringo, here, when Sally Cravens was on the Vista View, she had a reporter do a story on Ralph Bringo. Now it's 44 years, and there was a plaque at the time of the Vista Boys and Girls Club that read, Ralph T. Bringo, because he believes in youth and the American way of life. I'd like you to know that New York City, San Francisco, and Spokane, their St. Patrick's Day 2012 will march on as family events, alcohol-free, as their cities in their future. A conversation with two city advocates for their St. Patrick's Day confirmed this. Alcohol is available in private establishments as it should be here too. Will you please give the youth of Vista and the Vista members of the Boys Club and Girls Club a family-friendly events to be successful in their Vista Village? Mayor Ritter and City Council members Dave Coles, Steve Gronke, Frank Lopez, and John Aguilar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Glassbell.
Thank you.
I have 14 speakers requested here, and it looks like you're all requesting to speak on the San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station, and I understand there's several residents, all of you, that want to speak on that, requesting our council possibly to take a position that it should be permanently shut down. The United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission is the agency responsible for regulating the safety of all the nuclear stations. They're the agency that shut San Onofre down in January when the first safety concerns came to light. The NRC has steadfastly stated the plant will not reopen until the operations are completely safe to both the public and the plant employees. So as a city, we've traditionally not intervened in other government agencies' operations, and we do, though, believe that they are correct in shutting it down in light of the safety concerns. But as far as taking a stand, I don't believe our council will take a stand. But we'll start out and we'll listen to all of your comments. So I'll start with Sandy Thurlow. Hi, Sandy.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I'm very scared to stand here and speak before you. I'm kind of a scaredy cat, but
don't be scared.
I'm much more frightened that our beautiful communities in North County could become another Fukushima. And with the recent earthquakes and the new information that has been revealed about the dangers of San Onofre, I know that you, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is the body that handles this, but you are our leaders, and we look to you for leadership and help and hope. And we just hope that perhaps you can put your voices forward and do something to extend the circumference of the evacuation zone. There's no plan for evacuation for 8 million people, more than 8 million people. Perhaps you could ask that a plan for evacuation is made, and that would quiet our hearts, because it's a very scary thing. And I thank you for your help and your support.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Robert, is it Pesh? Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I live in Oceanside right now.
Right into that.
Okay, pardon me. I live in Oceanside. Formerly, I lived in Vista. I'm retired. My mortgage is underwater. My wife works, and I just became a grandfather again about a month ago. We live 17 air miles from San Onofre. We're meeting at this time 22 air miles from San Onofre. My grandson lives 39 miles from San Onofre. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission asked the Japanese government to evacuate Americans living within 50 miles of Fukushima after the accident there. Yet the NRC mandates only a 10-mile evacuation zone surrounding San Onofre. For the over 8 million people living within 50 miles of San Onofre, there is no evacuation plan. Who can we trust? From 2009 to 2011, Southern California Edison replaced the number 2 and number 3 generators at San Onofre. The NRC did not mandate a full evaluation of this replacement because it was supposed to be, quote, like for like, end quote. But it turns out Southern California Edison lied to the NRC. They removed its central support to run more coolant tubes to generate 4% more electrical power. This unauthorized engineering change caused failure of hundreds of coolant tubes. Who can we trust? There's been scary talk about how San Onofre represents 20% of Southern California's electrical generation capacity. So by implication, we would be 20% short this summer. But according to the California Independent System Operator, San Onofre and Diablo Canyon together account for approximately 7% of total generation capacity in California. And the ISO predicts approximately 25% excess generation capacity for this summer. So who can we trust? Now, both reactors are shut down. At least we can be certain that there won't be another Fukushima during this time. In 2005, Southern California Edison started manufacturing the, quote, dry cask, end quote, storage units for nuclear waste on-site at San Onofre. Well, we can only hope that there haven't been too many shortcuts making these containers in the name of lower cost or higher profit. But again, who can we trust? A waste spillage wouldn't be as dramatic as a meltdown, certainly. But remember that the Japan Current sweeps north to south along the coast. A significant spill would affect the shoreline, the fishing industry, tourism, all along that area. All of this would be exterminated for the next, 100,000 years or so. Now, Vista would probably, well, would continue to be okay for a while, but with that devastation of the coastline, it would be a poisonous, radioactive, empty desert. And even if Vista were irradiated, it would die. So who can we trust? I don't trust the federal government to help us. What about the state government or the county government? So I'm standing here before you, Mayor, City Council of Vista. Can we trust you in concert with the other cities that have already spoken out to oppose the restart of San Onofre, to demand the removal of more than 4,000 tons of nuclear waste from San Onofre? The NRC has already ruled that nuclear waste can be stored at San Onofre for 300 years. For another 300 years, who can we trust? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Robert Aymar. Did I pronounce that okay? Is it Aymar? Is that the last?
Yeah, good job.
Okay.
I'm going to speak on a separate subject, though.
Okay, that's okay. Just the microphone right here.
Yeah, should I wait, though,
No,
until you get through with the other?
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Bob Eimer. I live at 1506 Oak Drive, number 56. That's Vista Village. It's a resident-owned senior park, also known as Vista Pioneers 1. I'm here to ask the City Council to correct the unfair and unreasonable cost of sewer service to seniors who live in senior parks. After a review of the Red Oak study you did in '07, and I performed a census study myself, it is obvious that we should not be in the rate structure we are at the present time. The city does not meter sewer or have a program where they evaluate water usage to sewer, that some communities do. In other words, they look at your water bill and they say, that represents X amount of sewer. But we don't do that, so I think it's only fair that we do it on the basis of population. So the following data clearly shows that senior parks in the report, in my report, now these are only the senior parks that I could verify in the city. We have a lot of family parks, and they're in our rate structure now, but we'll talk about that in a minute. The senior parks have a total of 854 spaces, an average of 1,708 residents. In other words, that's an average of 2. The census reveals that we really have only 1.25 residents per account. The present allocation of costs is based on a percentage of customers, 50% for single family, 22% for multiple family, which is where we are now, and commercial is 28%. The census shows the total population of the city, this is on 2010, of 93,834. To allocate the population by sewer customers and rate structure results in a population of 64,745 for the single family and 29,088 for the multiple family. This report uses a senior population of only 1,708, and the customer number. The actual customer number is probably different because I don't know how the city does its billing. I couldn't get an answer. I talked to the district and I couldn't get an answer. And I know in some cases, though, they bill parks, and then the parks bill the tenants or the residents as a group. I personally pay it as part of my property tax.
Right.
And I just got my good news the other day. You've adjusted the rate to be exactly what we paid for the last year. I expected that you would probably have a public hearing, which you did not, because you did previously when you did a 5-year plan before, 07 to 012.
I need you to wrap up.
Wrap up?
Yeah, please,
Okay.
if you would.
All right, let's go to using the census data. I'll get to the allocation of costs. If we look at it, then senior mobile home parks should be paying 1.29. When we get down to this, the cost per customer, according to the data, should be only $235 instead of the $447 you're charging us now. We control our population, which is different than what goes on in mobile home manufactured or multiple family homes. In other words, family parks and apartment houses and all that.
I have 12 more speakers, so I really need you
Yeah, I
to
know.
wind
Okay.
it up a little bit.
All right,
3
well-
minutes. Each person's allowed 3 minutes.
Okay, any questions? No questions. Okay. I'm through, thank you. Thank you.
Just low-income seniors are, if you're a low-income senior, then you can apply for forgiveness of some of that.
Yes, you can. Yeah, but we're still paying 100% over what we should be paying. The rebate program is only 30%, and I think that's discriminatory because it discriminates on the basis of your ability to pay. That's not fair either.
Okay, I'm a senior too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next speaker is Crystal Coleman. It should be followed by Stephen Frank Gary.
Hello, my name is Crystal Coleman. I'm a resident of the city of Vista. I have 3 daughters. I'm here to speak about the nuclear generating station. I realize what you said earlier, that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has the ultimate say as to what happens with that power plant, but like some of the previous speakers had commented on, we hope that you will lend your voices to the people and hear us.
Sorry.
That's okay. Because if we can't count on our local officials to represent us and our fears and speak up for us and stand up for us, then who can we count on? I've been at other city council meetings and I've listened to Edison. They sent representatives and the council members asked Edison, what's the plan for an evacuation if there is a disaster? And a disaster isn't something that we have control over. We can have as many regulations and laws and, fantastic plant workers as there are, but we can't count on the fact that Mother Nature is going to cooperate with us. Just recently, we've had several earthquakes close to home, and if something should happen, we're well within the radius of, I think we're, within 30 miles? We would never, ever be able to come home again. All of our property values, our businesses, our children. It's not something that just affects a city or a county or a state. This is something that affects the whole world. This is something that affects humanity. This is a global problem. It's not a city problem. So it's up to us, the city, the people, to stand up and let the higher-ups know how we feel about this and that we're not okay. We're smart. We have a lot of really wonderful technologies available to us today. I know that the city of Vista, they implemented the solar power initiative a couple years ago, and I thought that was amazing. With Sullivan Power, that we all got discounts, and I think that's something that we should pursue. I can't sit by quietly and risk all of our lives over something as ridiculous as this power plant. I know that you're all parents and grandparents, and you live here too. And so we all have to stand together as a team and work to make changes. And I hope that you will make a stand on this, that you will lend your voices, and that we can set aside some time on the next agenda to discuss possible solutions, how we're going to address this problem, what can be done about it. And I hope that we can count on you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Stephen Frank. Is it Gary? And he'll be followed by Becky Medeiros.
Hello, council, citizens, brothers, sisters, and cousins. I'm here with the anti-nuclear people for purposes that we would request that the City of Vista issue a statement of support of green energy and oppose reopening San Onofre or putting any more money into the nuclear program, just as a matter of course from the citizens. I know you don't have the power to actually close anything, but we do have the power to make our voices known. And Robert over there asked several times, like, who do we trust? We trust the Atomic Energy Commission, the people who were predecessors for the NRC, who in 1959 in in Simi Valley, California, there was a nuclear accident, the worst one in the United States history, which is actually the third largest nuclear accident in history of the world that nobody knows about. Why? Because the government didn't tell anybody about it. They sort of did the government thing and poo-pooed it off that it was all safe, don't worry about it, everybody go away. The only reason that we even know about that now is that 20 years later when litigation came out that showed that there was a large release of, I'm going to read you from an article from Los Angeles Times in 2004, 1959 nuclear meltdown in Rocketdyne Santa Susana Field Laboratory near Simi Valley released far more radiation than was previously known and likely contributed to some area residents developing deadly cancers and other illness, according to experts hired by the plaintiffs in a lawsuit pending against the lab's operator. As I stated, the only reason we know about that was through litigation. Now, do we want to put our trust in the agencies like this? Because they have an established history of downplaying what the danger of nuclear power is. There's been releases at San Onofre itself, and they just sort of poo-poo it down. Don't worry about it, it's only a real small amount. There is no safe amount of nuclear energy that can be released. It's dangerous to all human life, plants, animals, everybody. Now, how do I know this? I was born in the shadow of the Savannah River Project in Aiken, South Carolina in 1952. My father worked there from 1949 to 1963. He died at 59 years of age, which I am right now, from lung cancer. He wasn't a smoker. He worked at the Savannah River Project, and it was told to him it was safe what he's doing. There's no problems with it. Well, now that site is a Superfund site. It's totally radiated, and they've closed parts of it due to radiation and poison they put into the system down there.
I need you to wrap up.
Okay. Well, the point is nuclear energy is not safe. At this point, we're in our world, like, somebody's got to step up and do something about it. Economically, there's a lot of people that have invested interest, but nuclear energy just throwing money away, and we still, 65 years later, after the invention of it, what do you do with your nuclear waste? You want to put it in Vista down in our yard somewhere? Nobody wants it, and there's a reason why, because it's poison. It cannot be contained. Right now in Japan...
I need you to end.
Okay, right now in Japan, there's leaking nuclear energy. Somebody needs to do something about it. We need to make our voices heard. So, and it's not just negative.
Come on.
Okay.
Really, I have a bunch more.
I'm doing my last sentence.
Well,
if you guys can support green energy and put a no confidence vote in the nuclear energy, that's what the citizens want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Becky Medeiros, followed by, looks like Dean Stowe. Jean? Okay, sorry.
Good evening, council members. My name is Becky Medeiros. I live here in Vista. I grew up in North County, and I've raised my kids here as well. I live here because, in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful areas in the world to live. I've spoken before the council in the past in regards to keeping Mar Vista a rural scenic road. I've worked on different issues with the school board, and I've campaigned for political candidates. But I'm here today to say that if we have a meltdown at San Onofre nuclear generating station, none of those things will matter. The scenic roads will be empty, the schools will sit abandoned, and we certainly won't need politicians because life as we know it will cease to exist. We here in Vista are within the 50-mile evacuation zone. If we were to have a 9.0 magnitude earthquake as they did in Fukushima, Japan, who really knows what the outcome would be? San Onofre was built to only withstand a 7.0 magnitude. Within an 8-mile radius of Fukushima, it is now known as the dead zone. It is a ghost town not fit for humans to live in. As of November 2011, according to a survey of medical associations, leukemia cases have increased 7 times over the previous year. 60% of those are acute cases, and 80% of those patients were from northern Japan, with the highest ratio coming from Fukushima. When Chernobyl had its accident, 28 staff members and emergency workers were dead within 4 months from radiation and thermal burns. 19 more people were dead by year's end. I had a couple of handouts I gave to Kathy that have some statistics. You might want to look at those. San Onofre already has the distinction of having the worst safety record of all 104 nuclear plants in the U.S. We don't need this plant to start up again. It's been shut down since January, and even when it's up and running, we only receive 19% of our power from them. I'd like to ask the council today to support a permanent closure of San Onofre. We can do this by contacting our state and local officials and the NRC in Washington, D.C. Let's keep our area beautiful and safe for our children and their children and our generations to come. We don't want to become another Fukushima. Thank you.
Thank you. Did I say was it Jean? Jean, is it Stowe? Okay.
My handwriting is atrocious, as you can attest to. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I'm only here tonight from my home, San Clemente, because some of your citizens asked me to come, and I represent Residents Organized for a Safe Environment, ROSE. I'd like to let you know that your radiation reading here is 18, which is in the middle of the normal range. San Clemente reads about 36 constantly. So this little device I read is made in San Marcos, right, your neighbor. So it's a local
business.
A local business owned by someone who lives in Vista.
I'm glad you're listening.
And it's on my website right at the moment, registering.
Is that an app I can put on my
There, say again?
Is that an app I can put on my iPhone?
There's an app for your phone, and so anyway, I can't spend too much time on that one. Here is a safety chart, allegation chart.
It's upside down.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. They have the worst safety records for 10 years in a row.
Yes, you have to speak in the microphone so we can hear you. So maybe put it up, just hold it over right in front of your microphone.
I'm not very good with this sort of thing.
You need a Vanna White.
Yeah, I do. She's at home.
There she is.
Hey! All right. So there are things that you can do. I had a personal meeting with some other environmentalists on April the 6th with Chairman Yasko. You still can get under the line. You may not be aware, but they are asking for input. The NRC's latest plan is for San Onofre to be a nuclear waste dump for a total of 300 years. That's about another 250 years.
Can you explain what this graph is? It starts out really big and it goes down to low.
These are safety allegations of the workers.
But it looks like they're decreasing.
Well, no, these are all the different power plants.
Oh, all the.
This is San Onofre.
Oh.
This is Diablo Canyon.
Oh, okay.
They are with 10 years in a row. San Onofre has been the worst, has the worst safety record of all nuclear power plants in California. Yeah. I don't know the facts about the world, but I do know the facts about America.
Okay.
You can find this information on the NRC website. As I was saying, I had a meeting with Chairman Yasko, and they are asking for input because right now this has not been passed, but this is their latest solution, is to store waste on site at every nuclear power plant, turning it into a nuclear waste dump. This is their latest idea. You can still comment on that on the NRC website by, I believe, May 19th. Okay. So you'll need to get your comments in. So they are looking for comments. It's been extended for a month to get more comments because we had asked them to do that so that we can get more city councils. So you can do something. You're right. Our rights were given away for those of us that are seniors that remember, our rights were taken away from us in 1950 by the Atomic Energy Commission because they said no one knew anything about nuclear. Well, this is 4 nuclear accidents later, 2012, and we know a lot more than we did. Every state should have the right to decide whether they want nuclear in their state. It's a state rights issue as far as I'm concerned. So there are many things that you can do, and I'm sure that we'll be getting you some information to help you. There are things that can be done. We ask you to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mayor?
Who said that? Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you. I'd like to make a suggestion. Tonight there's a forum right next door to all of you, and there's candidates there for, is it the Assembly? Assembly?
Yeah, Assembly, 76th District.
76th District.
3
at
candidates.
7 o'clock. And ask those candidates how they feel about it. And that way you know who to vote for.
Okay. Moving on. Steve Vanderschaaf. And he'll be followed by Dick Iden.
Good evening. I'm not here speaking about nuclear power. I'm here speaking about an issue over which you actually have direct control over. And I think it'll dovetail well into the earlier discussions about outsiders and carpetbaggers. The city stole the use of my land, and I want it back. I wrote a letter to the city manager a month ago and copied all of you on it. Now, I've not had any action back from the city manager other than a very polite note saying, thank you for your letter, we'll get back to you. I predict what's going to be done this time around is the same thing that was done before, which is overriding the input from the people that actually go out and see what's going on with the property and the topography. A decision's going to be made in an ivory tower vacuum. He's going to go to the same people that made the decision before, and they're going to give him the same opinion they gave him before. Basically, what we have is no guidelines in the city of Vista to handle complaints, and I'm a victim of one single outside carpetbagger. You know, the IRS has guidelines on what they do with complaints. If you try to drop a dime on another taxpayer, the first thing they do is say, who are you to this other guy? What do you stand to gain? The city of San Diego, code enforcement, has a published list of technical code violations that they say, we know these are violations, but you know what? We don't ever roll on these. Sorry. And here are some other violations that, yes, they're technical code violations, but until we hear from multiple people, multiple separate sources, we won't even investigate this. City of Vista, apparently the guidelines you've given city staff is, doesn't matter. A single individual could land in a spaceship from Mars, and you bend over backwards to listen to his complaint, and the most important thing seems to be to make him happy and to close the complaint. Last time I was here, a month ago, I was not exactly on my game. I was telling you about a letter, and you were saying, where's the letter, because it had just barely come across. John Connolly conveniently, actually coincidentally, was here, and he spoke with me out in the hall, polite and businesslike as ever, and says, sorry, Mr. Vanderschaff, I just don't see anything in E1 zoning to grant you vehicle storage. I find that sentence very interesting. The first thing is, I'm not looking for commercial vehicle storage. I have a number of personal vehicles insured and registered, and I want to store them in and around a garage. What a concept. You look at E1 and R1 zoning, it doesn't mention the word vehicle, automobile, car, or truck one single time. I guess maybe if any of you folks have the audacity...
I need you to wrap up. Sorry.
If you have the audacity to store a car in or around one of your garages, you better hope that nobody land from Mars and start making complaints about you. Arrogance of the word grant. It's not his property. It's not the City of Vista's property. It's my property. I've done nothing different than what I've been doing for the last 10 years. One outside tax evading, support dodging carpetbagger decides to make me his personal project, and you guys steal from me the use of my land. You want publicity and litigation, I can bring that. I don't think it needs to get to that. You folks can fix this. You can't fix a nuclear plant. You can fix this. I want the use of my land back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dick Iden, next speaker, followed by Ann, I think is it Benninger? Messenger? Okay.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Dick Iden. I live in Vista. I've lived here for about 23 years. I know some of you, but I'm here to introduce myself as a candidate for Congress here in the 49th Congressional District. And I want to let you know that the three of us who are challenging Darrell Issa are having a debate at Miracosta College on May 3rd. So if you want to hear all three of us, you can come and hear us then. I might say I'm the only native Californian among the four of us. They're all from Cleveland. I'm not going to make a big issue out of that, but they are all from Cleveland. Anyway, I'm here today to urge you to do something about the terrible safety hazard that's posed by San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station just 25 miles up the coast. We were promised for a long time by the NRC and by the industry safe, clean, and cheap energy. Those were the three watchwords: safe, cheap, and clean. And it is none of those three. It's not safe, cheap, or clean. I won't repeat everything that's said. You have some experts here today who are going to be talking to you, and there are some handouts that have a lot of information. And I've been going around to various city councils with some of these people. We've been to San Clemente several times. We've been to Carlsbad. We've been to Solana Beach. All of these cities have an interest in the safety of their residents, and San Onofre is a threat to the safety of the whole region. So I'm here to suggest, I know while this is not your jurisdiction, it is also none of your business, because the safety of your residents is implicated here. I would like to urge you to join with other city councils in some kind of a joint study, because I think people are generally ill-informed on this highly technical issue. And if the local cities got together and formed some kind of a joint task force and a joint study group, and then came together and could make some recommendations, that would certainly have some weight. It has no legal authority. It would have some significant weight. I think you could do it as a city council. I think it would be even more effective if you would join with other city councils in the area to do this kind of thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ann Benninger, or did I say that right? No, still not right. Okay, and followed by Ace Hoffman.
Okay, good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear me today. Just to start off with a little fun fact, in just 1 hour, the sun casts enough energy on the Earth's surface to provide the entire world with electricity for 1 year. However, less than 1% of our energy does come from the sun. My name is Ann Bessinger, and I'm a community developer with Sullivan Solar Power. Sullivan is the top residential installer in the local utility territory, and that is according to California Solar Initiative data. And so I'm just here today to introduce you to the San Diego Solar Program, which is a way for us to project our vision for a San Diego solar community. We launched the program last week, and it's an exciting incentive program that we're offering all homeowners of the county. The program's been developed to help the San Diego region reach its renewable energy goals. The incentives offered to residential property owners through the San Diego Solar Program are larger than those currently being offered under the state rebate program. Homeowners in the county can participate by going solar with little to no out-of-pocket expense and receive a cashback. So it's essentially getting paid to go solar. Similar to the state rebate, the cash incentives offered through the program will continue to drop until fully exhausted, and Vista residents have until December 31st to participate. We're really excited to administer the program, and we just ask that if any of your constituents ask in ways that they can support the renewable energy goals that you suggest the San Diego Solar Program. And it's also a great way to take off some of the pressure from the San Onofre nuclear power plant, and then that way they won't need to construct more. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me now, and I also left my contact information in the folders. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Ace Hoffman, followed by Sharon Hoffman.
Thank you very much for letting us come and speak to you tonight. I've given you each a copy of a book, and when I gave it to the council members in Solana Beach a couple of months before we all started to swoop down on them, of course I was hoping that they would read it, and perhaps they did, but after we had one of these meetings where we brought some really, really good people in to explain what was going on at San Onofre, the mayor wanted to abstain from being part of the resolution that the rest of the council members wanted to make because he needed more facts. Well, we did, as somebody mentioned, speak to the chairman of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission a couple of weeks ago, and he was very adamant that it's our duty to be involved in an issue like this. If you go to their website, you'll find lots of educational information. My book is only my version of what's the most important thing that you need to know. It's actually what I think I need to know when I come into a meeting like this. But if you go to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission site, you'll see that there's a huge amount of outreach information so that people like ourselves can become experts. Some of the places around the world that are using nuclear power successfully include North Korea. Now, I mention this because if this is too big an issue for a local government to be involved in, the city, county, and even the state completely reneges on all responsibility. They say it's safety is the purvey of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. How in the world does a country like North Korea build a nuclear power plant? I think we can all get involved in this. I think we can all pay attention, and I think it's our duty to pay attention. If I start mentioning things like cesium-137 or alpha particles or beta particles or just isotopes or fission, all of these are things that all of your students in high school should know what they mean, because this topic, although it is complicated, although it is something you may not think about on a regular basis, when it comes up and bites you, either by having cancer — I had bladder cancer, which is often caused by radiation, or at least it's one of the causes, and cigarette smoking is another, which I do not do. When Fukushima occurred and it came up and bit all of us, there are terabecquerels of radiation being released on a constant basis. And if you don't know what a terabecquerel is, well, then your students in your schools should know at this point. My point with San Onofre and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is they don't know what to do at Fukushima. There's nobody here in America, nobody at San Onofre, nobody in the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that can go there and fix things. We don't want San Onofre to get in that state. It's kind of far from it right now because it's closed. It's going to be closed for a long time, probably at least $700 million worth of time and money and expense, 4 or 5 years possibly, unless they operate at a lower rate than they should. So let's just keep it closed forever. Thank you very much. I see my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Hoffman, followed by Genevieve Prentice.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Sharon Hoffman. I live in Carlsbad, just down the street. And actually, when we first moved to California, we lived in Vista. So I'm very familiar with your beautiful city. And a lot of people have said a lot of good things today. I think that really the point is making your voice heard is not usurping the jurisdiction of the NRC. Our senators and congresspeople want to hear what the local jurisdictions think. It's also true that San Onofre shutdown is safer than San Onofre running. It also points out that San Onofre is not baseline power. That's a fallacy. There are lots of fallacies in the nuclear information perpetrated by the NRC, which is very much a promotion agency as well as a regulating agency, and by the industry. For example, they will tell you that nuclear power does not cause global warming, but that's because they're only looking at a very small portion of the entire cycle. They're not looking at the mining of the fuel, and they're certainly not looking at the protection of the waste for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. Nobody knows how to do that. We have no structures on this planet that are that old. So why should we think that we're suddenly going to invent them and have a solution? So San Onofre shutdown is safer. As long as the waste is there, it's a problem. The waste will not go away. We don't have any place to put it, but once we turn off the spigot, we can start to look for solutions. So I very much urge you to join with the other cities in Orange and San Diego County and to make a statement that we would rather see solar power, wind power, safe power to support the values of our city and county, your city and county, and mine as well. And the Congress people would like to hear that. They would like to know what people think. We're not asking you to say, we're going to block the roads and lie down in the streets and stop everything. We're simply asking you to send some letters and join with your fellow city councils. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Genevieve Prentice.
Hi, I happen to live in Vista, but the previous speaker lives in Carlsbad, and she can't even vote for you, but she can come here and speak to you. And you have that right, as representatives of that city, to speak to outside agencies that affect what goes on in the city. You're members of SANDAG, presumably the League of California Cities, in which you do have some official capacity, but you certainly do have the right, if you feel that an issue affects the city, you do have the right and responsibility to speak for the well-being of the city and its citizens, its businesses, remaining agriculture, which would be decimated. I mean, even if we could continue to live here, you would have a lot of trouble selling those veggies. But I had a friend who was in Japan, in Tokyo, during the earthquake. So I was Google chatting with him continuously through aftershocks, and I know he was scared. And and I was scared for him. And he was so far away, and this is so very close. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all of our speakers. Councilmember Coles.
You know, as this began, you know, we sit up here and we think, oh, we've got all these people to listen to, but I want you to know that I appreciate what you've shared with us. As a city and as a council, we may not have any authority, but I think you've reminded us that we do certainly have a voice as individuals, if nothing else. And I think, you know, this is something most of us take for granted. You know, we turn on the lights, they work. We drive down the street, we get to where we need to go, and we gripe at the high gas prices. But we've come, I think, since the 50s to just take for granted that the energy shows up and we use it, and we need to be reminded that nuclear energy is a time bomb. I mean, it's always been known to be a threat to human life, and I want to thank you. This didn't come across to me as some fringe group with a strange message to give to us, but this is something that resonates. And I looked at the chart that you provided, and I went, you know, iPads come in handy and so forth. And there was an article in the February 5th Los Angeles Times about the leak, and which led to the shutdown. And I got to the end of the article, and this is a responsible reporter in a well-recognized newspaper that said, in 2008, the plant received a string of citations over such issues as failed emergency generators, improperly wired batteries, and falsified fire safety data. Early last year, the NRC issued its annual review of San Onofre, identifying improvements, but noting that in the area of human performance, corrective actions to date have not resulted in sustained and measurable improvement. That concerns me. I mean, that's really a pretty strong indictment against, are they listening? Is anybody listening to the public? So thank you for at least making me listen. The image of San Onofre is from, what was the movie? There was a movie with, which one was it?
Yeah.
No, not China Syndrome. It was a comedy with Leslie Nielsen driving down the freeway, and they're depicted not as something else. So anyway, but thank you for sharing with us.
Mayor Pro Tem Gronke, followed by Councilmember Lopez.
You know, I think you're right in your message, and I think the American people have heard that message, because after the accidents in Russia and certainly the more recent accident in Japan, I don't think we've built a nuclear power plant in this nation for the last several decades. I don't may make me right on that, but I think the message is out there. Now, whether or not we're going to close down current ones is a whole different issue. I haven't really got the sense that there's a harm to the general public as yet from what's happening at San Onofre, but if it certainly comes to that, we will definitely, I personally, I will take action as a council member if I was to get the sense that was occurring. I haven't got that sense, and maybe as you've informed us, someone has not been forthcoming with all the information, but if we find that out, I will certainly take action.
Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor Ritter. The power plant was being built when I was in high school. In a couple days, I'll be 65 years old. So it's been around. At that time, there was a lot of people like you had the same views and same ideas. And here we are, less than 50 years, and we're having this problem, okay? So it's a ticking time bomb is what it is, really. And when I was in high school, that's all we talked about. You know, kids did talk about those things because it was new. And I had a lot of friends that actually worked there at San Onofre. But one of the things that they talked about, the ones who were putting it up, the developers or the people who are, what you mentioned, it's safe forever and ever. Yeah, it's safe. It's not safe. And as long as they're getting their money, you know, it's safe. But once it falls apart, who pays for all this? You know, who pays for it? Taxpayer pays for it. And so as individuals up here, you know, I think we could support it, but I don't know, I'm not sure if the council can support it, but as an individual, I think we can. And I think you're on the right track. I think if you were to get information and pick up that thing out there once in a while, I think that you could probably get more attention, because the general public does not look at all this. They don't take the time to read all of this information, and they're busy with their lives because the economy is tough right now. But if you would, write the president and tell him to allow the pipe to come down, and maybe we wouldn't have to have that power plant there.
Keystone
Thank
Pipeline?
you.
That may not be the answer either.
That's not the answer, but, okay, but there is wind and there is sun, and that's all the time, and that does not create radiation.
Councilmember Aguilera.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I want to thank the people for coming in. When you get a big group, you're never sure when you're up here what you're going to get, and it was very educational. I learned a lot. The thing that kind of stuck out or struck a chord in me was I guess the fact that there's no evacuation plan. That's something for us to think about and to talk amongst ourselves, and maybe something we can talk about publicly at a later date. But I want to thank you for coming in, providing these facts. It was well done. So, again, thank you.
I'd like to thank you also. I learned a lot today, and it worries me, the waste disposal worries. Yeah. It's always worried me all my life, but you know, it's like one of those things that you worry about, but you kind of put it out there and you don't do anything about it. But and also that it's right there by Camp Pendleton, which are the people defending our country, and it's, you know, it's very close to that. And on a personal level, my grandsons both work at the Sonic, and my son-in-law that's right across the freeway from that on Camp Pendleton. So anyway, it's very worrisome, and I appreciate all of you coming, and you were so nice and polite, and we appreciate you. Thank you for coming and bringing that to our attention, and we'll probably have another conversation about this. So, but yeah, and you might want to go next door and ask the questions next door to the over there. It's a candidate forum. It started at 7, which is about 10 minutes ago, and it's got Rocky Chavez, Farrah Douglas, and Sherry Hodges. They're all going to Sacramento, so they might be someone that could have a word for you if you can get some words in over there. So that would be a recommendation for you. But thank you. Okay. I guess now we are to our council, to our remarks. Is that where we are?
Yes.
I lost my agenda. So let's start with Councilmember Lopez. Do you have any remarks tonight? Yeah, then be quick.
Real quick, I want to go over there too. Mr. Johnson, could you explain to the public that what certificate the city just received on this building?
Yeah, the city.
That's all I have to say. Go ahead.
The city, after 2 years of almost occupying the building, was officially granted LEED certification for energy and efficiency and design at the silver level. So there's 4 levels. There's basic, silver, gold, and platinum. And this building was deemed to be qualified at the silver level. And as part of the process, the city, through the construction process, didn't spend a whole lot of money. In an effort to get LEED certification, we already did that through the building process, but we are silver certified as of this date.
Thank you.
Councilmember Coles?
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Councilmember Aguilera? Ditto. Mayor Pro Tem Gronke?
I have one. You know, as a representative of the city, we all have opportunities to go to different functions, and some are more memorable than others. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to be at Babies in Bloom. I believe it's on Hacienda Drive. The Guinness Book of World Records was doing all over the world at a particular time people changing cloth diapers. So I was there when about 51 moms changed their diapers on their young ones, and again, it was memorable, to say the least, so I'll leave you with that.
I was on vacation with my 9-month-old granddaughter, and I changed a few diapers myself. Okay, I just have one announcement, and that would be, I want to kind of give a plug to this. We did a ribbon cutting for, it was called I forgot the MMA Academy, and it's a training academy that trains sexual assault. It's April Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and they train a lot of our sheriffs and a lot of our military and in self-defense type of things. But they're having a women's self-defense class, and it's Saturday from 11 to 2. It's I think they said $35. It includes a booklet. So anyway, it'd be an interesting thing for women to take. I think it'd be a very good thing if they have some time on Saturday to go attend that. And that would be all. I'm glad to be back from vacation. They took a nice vacation. I'm glad to be back. But it's tough. I could have stayed another couple of weeks. City Manager Patrick Johnson.
So in the interest of time, I'll save my comments for next time.
Oh, okay. How about our Attorney Jonathan Stone? Nothing to say tonight? How about our City Clerk? No. Neither one of you down there. Okay. All right, then we're adjourned.